They say nothing ever changes in Spring Hill. That time here moves slower, like molasses in January. And maybe that's why I never left. Or maybe I just didn't have the guts to chase anything else. My name's Noah Harper. I'm 27, been living here all my life. I work as a mechanic at Sullivan's Garage, third bay from the left, the one with the crooked toolbox and the rusted-out fan that squeals when it turns. People around here still call me Harper Boy, like I'm 12 and riding my bike barefoot past the general store. Most nights, I drive the old back roads just to clear my head. Windows down, engine humming, gravel spitting under the tires. You can smell hay and oil, sometimes lilacs from that abandoned field behind the church. There's something about being alone in the truck at night, listening to Springsteen, that makes the world feel smaller, safer. Like nothing bad can touch you here. But it did. It touched me a long time ago when Mom died. I was 19. After that, it was just me and Dad in that tired yellow house with creaky steps and faded shutters. He doesn't talk much anymore. Not since her. It was a Tuesday when I saw her again. I'd stopped by Weller's Market to grab a six-pack and a bag of jerky. I was standing in line behind Mrs. Dawson and her stack of frozen dinners when I saw the back of her head. Brown hair pulled into a messy bun, denim jacket too thin for the breeze, camera bag slung over her shoulder. Something in me clenched. And when she turned, damn, Lillian Gray. She looked the same and completely different. Her eyes were still that stormy blue, but there was something in them now, like she'd seen things, lived them. Her mouth curved into the kind of soft, unsure smile that felt like an apology and a hello at the same time. I don't remember what I said. Maybe I didn't say anything at all. But she blinked, and that was all it took. "Hey," she said, like 8 years hadn't passed. "Hey," I managed. The cashier scanned Mrs. Dawson's groceries like nothing earth-shaking had just happened. Meanwhile, my heartbeat was pounding behind my ribs like I'd just sprinted across town. Lily stepped to the side, giving me a better look at her. She'd gotten a little thinner, maybe. Her cheeks weren't as round as I remembered, but her eyes, those were exactly the same. Wide, soft, unreadable. We stood there, staring at each other like a couple of kids outside a school dance, neither of us quite brave enough to move first. Then she broke the silence. "You still drink Shiner Bock?" I looked down at the six-pack in my hand and chuckled. "Some habits die hard." She smiled, and for a second, I could see her at 17 again. In cut-off jeans, sitting on the tailgate of my truck, singing along to country songs she claimed to hate. "I didn't know you were back," I said. "Got in last week. I'm staying at my mom's for now." "That little blue house on River Road?" She nodded. "Still smells like lemon cleaner and old books." "Yeah, I remember." The line moved forward. I paid for my stuff while my brain scrambled for something to say, anything that didn't sound dumb or overly sentimental. "You planning to stick around?" I asked as we walked out together. She looked up at the sky, orange fading into deep purple. "I don't know yet. Feels strange being back." "Strange good or strange bad?" "Both," she said quietly. There was a pause between us. The air smelled like cut grass and pavement and summer about to end. "You still have the same truck," she said, glancing toward the rust-red Ford parked crooked near the pumps. "Yeah. She's a little slower now, but she still runs." "Like all of us," she murmured. I leaned against the hood, trying to play it cool, but the truth is, my hands were sweating, and my chest felt like a squeeze-break line. "You hungry?" I asked, surprising even myself. Lily looked at me like she was waiting for me to take it back. But I didn't. "You mean like, now?" "Yeah. I know a place." Nothing fancy, but they still make a decent burger. She hesitated just long enough to make me nervous. Okay, she said finally. Lead the way. We ended up at Miller's Diner. Same red stools. Same peeling wallpaper with faded farm scenes. Miss Nancy still ran the place, her hair teased into the same blonde helmet it had been since the 80s. She waved when she saw me walk in. What'll it be, Harper? The usual. And whatever she's having. Lily slid into the booth across from me, setting her camera bag beside her like it was a pet she didn't want to wake. She looked around like everything felt both familiar and alien. This place hasn't changed a bit, she said. Not much around here does. We talked between bites. Nothing deep at first. Where she'd been, Brooklyn, what she'd been doing, freelance photography, mostly weddings and portraits, and how her mom was doing, still teaching, still baking pies for the church bake sale. Why'd you come back? I finally asked, chewing a fry. She set her burger down, her expression shifting. My lease was up. Work got slow. And I guess I just missed home. Just like that? She shrugged. Just like that. I didn't push. I could tell there was more, but she wasn't ready to spill it. And I didn't want to scare her off. Not yet. When we left the diner, the air had cooled and the stars had come out. The kind you only see in towns like ours, endless and quiet and sharp. Thanks for dinner, she said. Thanks for saying yes. There was a long beat before she spoke again. Do you ever think about high school? Sometimes. Do you ever think about us? I didn't answer right away. I looked out across the lot, past the rows of pickup trucks and empty soda cups blowing across the concrete. Every damn day, I said. Her breath caught. And for a moment, the whole world went still. Then she smiled. Soft. A little sad. Me too. After that night at the diner, we started seeing each other more. Not in a big, planned-out way, just passing moments that turned into hours. Sometimes she'd swing by the garage while I was working, camera slung across her chest, snapping photos of engines or light leaking through the shop windows like it meant something. Other times, I'd find myself driving by her mom's place, just slow enough for her to notice. We were orbiting again. Careful. Unspoken. Like neither of us wanted to say the wrong thing and ruin the fragile thing growing between us. One Sunday afternoon, she asked if I wanted to see some of the photos she took back in New York. I followed her up the creaky porch steps of her childhood home, the same place we used to sit on during summer storms, counting seconds between lightning and thunder. Her room was almost exactly how she'd left it. Same posters, same bookshelf with her name scribbled on the spines. But now it had a worn laptop on the desk, a stack of film rolls on the dresser, and a half-unpacked suitcase in the corner. She showed me her photos, black and white portraits of strangers on subway platforms, sun-soaked rooftops, a kid with wide eyes holding a melted popsicle. They were beautiful. Honest. You're talented, I said. She smiled faintly. Sometimes I feel like it's the only part of me that makes sense. I didn't know what to say to that. So I asked, why'd you really leave? She paused, her fingers brushing across the touchpad, freezing on a photo of a woman crying in the rain. Because I was scared. Of what? Of being stuck. Of becoming like everyone else. Of us. I sat with that. Let it settle in. It hurt more than I expected. You think I'm stuck? No, she said quickly. Not stuck. Just rooted. I looked at her, and all I could think of was that last summer before she left. The summer where everything felt like it might finally happen. The fireflies, the lake, her laugh echoing down the empty roads. Flashback, July, 8 years ago. She was barefoot in the grass, her jeans rolled up, splashing in the shallows of Miller Lake. The sun was setting behind her, and I remember thinking nothing in the world would ever look as good as she did right then. "I might leave," she said suddenly, looking out over the water. "Where?" I asked. "Anywhere. New York, maybe. Or California. Somewhere loud." "Why?" She shrugged. "Because this town makes my lungs feel small." I didn't answer. I didn't know how. I just waded in beside her and took her hand. We kissed that night under a sky that didn't care about either of us. The next morning, she was gone. I cleared my throat. "You didn't say goodbye." "I couldn't. If I had, I would have stayed. And I couldn't let myself stay. Not then." I looked at her, really looked. She wasn't 17 anymore. Neither was I. But something about us still felt unfinished. Like the book we never opened again. "You still take pictures to run from things?" I asked gently. "Maybe," she whispered. "Or maybe to remember them before they disappear." That night, I went home, sat in the truck outside my dad's house, and stared up at the same stars we used to count. And all I could think was, she's back, but for how long? Because Spring Hill was the kind of place people left, and rarely returned to stay. But I'd stayed. And this time, I wasn't going to let her slip away so easily. The next few weeks passed in that quiet, cautious way that only small towns know. The kind of weeks where a single glance across a parking lot could mean everything. Where a short drive with the windows down said more than a phone call ever could. Lily and I weren't officially anything. No titles, no labels, no promises. But it felt like we were slowly becoming something again. Something real. She'd started showing up more at the garage, bringing me iced coffee in a mason jar, or just leaning against the doorframe with her camera around her neck, watching me work. She'd take shots of me under the hood, grease on my jaw, sun cutting through the shop in golden beams. "I like catching people when they don't know they're being seen," she said once. "There's something honest in that." I wiped my hands on a rag and looked at her. "I always see you," I said. She blushed, laughed it off. But I saw the way her eyes lingered. One Friday evening, she texted, "Want to go somewhere? Just drive." I didn't even hesitate. I picked her up 10 minutes later. She was wearing a faded flannel over a white tank top, legs curled up on the seat beside me. Her camera rested in her lap, like always. We didn't have a destination. Just followed the fading sun along the back roads, past cotton fields and rusted fences, past houses with porches lit by bug zappers, and kids playing barefoot in the dust. Somewhere around mile marker 73, we pulled off the road and parked by the old water tower. It was the same place we used to sneak beers when we were 17. The same place I almost told her I loved her, but didn't. She climbed out and walked toward the field, barefoot, the tall grass brushing her calves. I followed her, of course. We lay in the field, watching the stars blink awake one by one. A warm breeze rustled through the grass. The only sounds were crickets and the occasional hum of a truck passing far off on the highway. "I used to dream about this," she said quietly. "What part?" "Coming back. Seeing you again. Lying here. You left without saying a word, Lily." "I know," she whispered. There was silence again, heavy this time. Then she turned on her side, looking at me. "I missed you, Noah. More than I let myself believe." I reached out, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Then say it." "I missed you," she said, voice barely above a breath. "I miss this. Us." "You?" I leaned in, not sure if I was reading it right. Not sure if this was the moment, or just a dream of one. But then she closed the space between us. And just like that, her lips were on mine. It wasn't rushed or frantic. It wasn't the kind of kiss you forget. It was deep, slow, familiar, like we'd never stopped kissing all those years ago, just paused and waited until now. She pulled back just a little, her forehead resting against mine. "I don't know what this is," she whispered. "Neither do I," I said. "But I want to find out." She kissed me again, and this time there was heat behind it. Her hand slid into my hair, my arms wrapped around her waist. Her flannel slipped off her shoulders, and my shirt went next. The ground was soft under us, the stars the only witnesses. There was no urgency, just the quiet kind of need that grows from years of distance and wondering. She looked at me with something between hope and fear. "Are we making a mistake?" "Maybe," I said. "But it's ours." We stayed like that until well past midnight. Tangled, bare, closer than we should have been, closer than we'd ever been. When we finally got back in the truck, she leaned her head on my shoulder the whole way home. Neither of us said a word, but I think we both knew something had shifted, and there was no going back. By Monday morning, the whispers had started. That's the thing about small towns. Nothing stays quiet for long. Someone must have seen my truck parked by the field, or maybe it was the way Lily and I looked at each other when she walked into the diner for breakfast. Either way, Spring Hill was talking. "You and Lily Gray, huh?" Cody asked as he leaned on the counter at Sullivan's garage, sipping gas station coffee and watching me rotate tires. I kept my eyes on the rim. "We're just catching up." "Right. Like catching up half-naked in a field kind of way?" I glared at him, but he just laughed. "Relax, man. I'm not judging. I just didn't expect it. She left like a ghost, you know? And now she's back, and boom, she's on your hood again." "She's not a ghost," I muttered. "Maybe not to you." Cody wasn't trying to be cruel. That's just how guys talk in Spring Hill. But it stuck with me. That sense that maybe I was holding on to something too fragile for this place. Lily didn't seem to care what people thought, or at least she pretended not to. She showed up at the garage again that afternoon with a new roll of film and a basket of peach muffins her mom had baked. "You know people are talking, right?" she asked, hopping up on the workbench, swinging her legs. "They always talk. I don't mind," she said. "I just hate when people pretend to know your story when they've never read the pages." I wiped my hands and looked at her. "I don't care what they say either. But I care what this means." She grew quiet. I stepped closer. "I know we don't have a label or a plan, and you're still figuring things out, but this thing between us, it's real. At least for me." She looked down at her camera, fiddling with the strap. "It's real for me too, Noah. That's what scares me." We spent most evenings together after that. At her house. In my truck. On the roof of the old library where we carved our initials back in 11th grade. She started telling me more. Not all at once, just pieces. Small truths left like breadcrumbs. About New York. The roommates that came and went. The job she loved, then lost. The guy she dated for almost a year, who talked about marriage but never really looked her in the eye. "I thought I loved him," she said one night, lying beside me under the stars. "But I think I just didn't want to be alone." I turned my head toward her. "And now?" She didn't answer right away. Then she said, "Now I want to be with someone who sees me. The good, the broken, the restless. All of it." I didn't say anything. I just took her hand. And she didn't let go. But even with everything we were building, I felt it. The weight of something unspoken. The way her eyes sometimes drifted, like she was somewhere else. The long silences after she hung up the phone with her sister in Chicago. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the Silo Pass River Road, I asked her, "Are you staying?" She didn't flinch. She didn't pretend to misunderstand. "I don't know," she said softly. "Part of me wants to, but the other part still hears the city calling. And what about me?" She looked at me with eyes full of apology. "That's the part that makes it hard." Fall came early that year. The leaves turned fast, flaming orange and deep crimson, and the wind carried a bite even before October rolled in. We carved pumpkins on my porch, watched reruns of Friday Night Lights, drove out to the orchard and picked apples until our arms ached. But behind every perfect moment was a clock ticking louder and louder. One night, she showed up at my door with a letter in her hand. I knew the look on her face before she said a word. "What is it?" I asked. She handed it to me. It was from a magazine in San Francisco. A full-time offer. Senior photo editor. "I didn't apply," she said quickly. "Someone sent in my portfolio. A friend. And you're thinking of going." She didn't deny it. "I haven't said yes," she said. "But it's everything I worked for." And I got it. I really did. But that didn't stop the ache that bloomed in my chest like something sharp. "Can you tell me you're not leaving?" I asked. She looked at me, her eyes glassy, her voice low. "No, I can't." I didn't sleep that night. I lay on my back in my room, staring at the ceiling fan as it turned slow and steady, the blades casting shadows that crawled across the walls like ghosts. Her voice kept echoing in my head. "I can't." And maybe I knew this was coming. Maybe from the second I saw her in Weller's Market with her camera and her guarded smile, I knew she wouldn't stay. But I still let myself believe. Let myself fall. The next morning, I didn't text her. Didn't call. I went to work, kept my head down, and tried to focus on fixing the transmission on a beat-up Silverado that sounded like it was dying of heartbreak too. But by late afternoon, I found myself driving toward River Road anyway. She was on the porch swing when I pulled up, wearing one of my old sweatshirts like it still meant something. Her camera was beside her, untouched. "You didn't answer my texts," she said, her voice soft. "I didn't know what to say." "Neither do I," she whispered. I sat beside her, and the porch creaked beneath our weight. For a while, we just watched the wind dance through the trees, watched the leaves fall without asking permission. "Tell me the truth," I said finally. "If I asked you to stay, would you?" She looked at me, and for a split second, I saw something flicker in her. Hope, fear, maybe both. "I don't want to ask you to be smaller so I can feel bigger," I said. "But I also don't know how to let you go." Lily looked away. "You've always belonged here." "I don't. I thought I could, but I'm not built for stillness the way you are." "I'm not still," I said. "I've just been waiting." "For what?" "For you." Her breath hitched. "Noah." But the silence that followed said the rest. She stood up, wrapped her arms around herself, like she was holding the pieces in place. "I don't want to hurt you. You already are." She stepped closer, pressed her forehead to mine, and whispered, "Then I guess we're even." And then she kissed me. Soft and slow, like it was the last time. Because maybe it was. She left 2 days later. No big goodbye. No dramatic airport scene. Just a note on my windshield. "I'll always love the version of us that lived in this town. But I have to find out who I am outside of it. L." I stared at the handwriting until the letters blurred, then sat in the truck for what felt like hours. The town went on around me. Kids riding bikes, dogs barking in backyards, a tractor rumbling down Main Street, and I sat there, hollowed out. That night, I drove to the water tower. The field was empty, but her memory wasn't. It was in the grass, in the stars, in the way my hand still remembered her shape. Weeks passed, then months. She didn't call. I didn't write. But I saw her sometimes, not in person, just in magazines. Her photo series, The Towns We Leave Behind, got picked up by a big West Coast publication. I recognized some of the shots: the gas station sign, the field behind Miller's barn, the silhouette of the water tower at dusk. One of them was me. My back turned, standing in the garage, grease on my arms, lost in thought. She'd titled it, Still. Chapter 11, Spring Again. Time moved. The seasons turned over like pages in a book I hadn't finished reading. And just like every year, the fields began to bloom again. The same way they did the summer before she left the first time. I'd be lying if I said I was over her. You don't get over people like Lily Gray. Not completely. You just learn how to carry them differently, like a scar under your shirt. Quiet. Faint. Still there. I started seeing someone new. A girl named Erin, who worked at the bakery. Sweet, kind, didn't ask for too much too soon. She never tried to fix me, and maybe that's why I let her in. But sometimes, late at night, when the world was quiet, I still wondered what coast Lily was standing on, what sky she was looking at, what song she was playing in her car while the city buzzed around her. And I wondered if she ever thought of me. It was early May when I saw her again. I was closing up the garage, the last rays of sunlight slanting through the bay doors, when I heard the sound of a car pull up. Not the usual rattle of old pickups or the hum of townies running errands. This was different, smooth, unfamiliar. A rental. She stepped out like she hadn't been gone a day. Same brown hair, though shorter now. A soft gray sweater, jeans, no camera this time. And those eyes, stormy, sharp, and a little heavier. My breath caught in my throat. I wiped my hands on a rag, trying to keep from staring. She smiled, nervous, unsure. Hey! That word again. The one that always undid me. Hey! I said, slower this time, like I wasn't sure if I was awake. She stood there a moment, looking around the place like it was sacred ground. You painted the walls, she said. Yeah. Finally got tired of looking at that peeling blue. They look good. Cleaner. Tried to keep the place alive. She nodded. You always were good at keeping things alive. The silence stretched between us like a taut wire. I broke it first. What are you doing here, Lily? She swallowed hard. I was in Nashville for a shoot. I had a few days. I drove. All this way just to say hi? She looked down at her hands. No. We sat on the back steps behind the garage, the way we used to when I'd sneak her out during my breaks. She had her legs pulled to her chest, chin resting on her knees. I didn't come back to stay, she said. I nodded, already expecting it. But I could not come back. I thought I'd moved on, Noah. I thought I could just carry it, with me and keep going. But it doesn't work like that. So why now? I asked. Why not 6 months ago? A year? Because I was scared I'd want to stay again, she said. And that I'd mess it all up again. I sighed. You didn't mess it up alone. She looked at me, something vulnerable settling in her eyes. I never stopped loving you, she whispered. Not really. Not even when I tried. The air left my lungs like a punch. I wanted to believe her. I did. But part of me was still standing in that field the night she chose to leave. I'm with someone, I said finally. Her name's Erin. Her expression didn't change. She just blinked slowly, nodded. Is it serious? She's good to me, I said. She doesn't make me guess. Lily looked away. I wouldn't expect anything less. The ache in her voice nearly undid me. She stayed in town for 2 days. Didn't try to see me again. I didn't reach out either. But she left something behind. A manila envelope at the garage with my name on it, taped to the office door. Inside were printed photographs. Dozens of them. The one of me from the magazine, unedited, raw. Shots of the field where we kissed. The porch swing. My truck. A blurry one of me laughing at something off camera. And one photo that stopped me cold. The two of us, taken by accident in the diner window's reflection. Her leaning in, me grinning like a fool, a moment I didn't even know she captured. There was a note tucked in the back. I never learned how to stop loving you. But maybe that's not the point. Maybe loving you doesn't mean staying. Maybe it just means keeping the part of me you brought back to life. Be well. Be free. And if the road ever brings us back here again. L. That night, I sat on the porch of my dad's house and watched the sun go down behind the fields. The breeze was warm. Quiet. Aaron called. I let it ring twice before answering. "Hey," I said. "Hey yourself," she said. "You sound far away." I didn't lie. I am. Just for a little. The thing about grief, whether it's losing a person or a future, is that it doesn't announce itself all at once. It shows up slowly, quietly, in the morning coffee that tastes a little more bitter, in the empty seat beside you in the truck, in the photo you find between bills, tucked inside a drawer you haven't opened in months. That's what the days felt like after Lily left again. Not tragic. Just quieter. Aaron noticed it too. She didn't press, but she wasn't blind. One night, after closing the bakery, she came by the garage with cinnamon rolls and 2 cups of coffee. She sat beside me on the tailgate, watching the last light disappear behind the trees. "You loved her," she said, not asking. I didn't deny it. "Yeah. She's still in town?" "No. She just came to say goodbye. Again." Aaron was quiet for a while. Then she smiled, not sad, just tired. "You don't owe me anything, Noah. But if you're still standing in 2 different worlds, I can't be the one waiting on the side." "I don't want to hurt you," I said. "You already have," she replied. "But it's okay. I'd rather know the truth than be half-loved." That night, when she drove away, I knew I wouldn't see her again. And maybe that was fair. A week later, I went up into the attic of my dad's house, mostly looking for old boxes, something to do with my hands. I found a rusted tin, and inside were letters, some mine, some never sent. Lily's handwriting. Letters she'd written and left behind the first time she left. My mom must have found them and kept them. One read, "You once told me that if I ever felt like the world was too loud, I could come home to the quiet of you. Spring came again. The grass grew wild behind the garage. The diner put out its red checkered patio tables again. Life didn't stop. It never does. I was still at Sullivan's. Still fixing engines. Still driving the same rust-red truck, though she'd started making a sound I couldn't place." And then one afternoon, out of nowhere, a letter showed up. No return address. Just my name on the front. Inside, I got tired of running. I've been in Colorado, mostly hiking and chasing things that don't ask questions. But the truth is, none of it has felt like home. You did. You always did. I'm not asking for anything. Just wanted you to know. I'm coming back through Spring Hill next week. If you want to see me, I'll be at Miller's Lake. Sunday. Dusk. If you don't come, I'll understand. If you do, I'll be there. L. I thought about it for 3 days. Drove past Miller's Lake once, just to see if it still looked the same. It did. Still and wide and quiet. Sunday came, and I waited until the sun was nearly gone before I got in my truck. I didn't plan what to say. I didn't know what this would be, A goodbye, a beginning, or just one more chapter in a book that refused to end. When I pulled up, she was sitting at the edge of the dock, barefoot, her camera beside her again like a promise. She turned when she heard the truck. Smiled. "I wasn't sure you'd come," she said as I walked toward her. "I wasn't either," I replied. "I didn't come back to stay," she said. "But I did come back to try." I nodded. "Maybe that's enough." She reached for my hand. And this time, I didn't let go. Years pass differently in a small town. They blur. They fold in on themselves. But some things remain. I still fix engines. She still takes pictures. We live in a house just past the water tower now. The same one we used to sneak behind, hearts pounding. Sometimes she leaves for shoots, but she always comes back. And when she does, I meet her at the diner, and we sit in our old booth, her camera slung across her shoulder, my hand still stained from work. We don't talk about New York anymore. We talk about here. About now. About us. And some nights, when the stars are out and the air smells like spring and oil in memory, we drive to the edge of the field where it all started. And we remember what it means to love someone not for who they were, but for who they chose to become, with you. Still,